Hi, how are you? Hello all. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If you are new, welcome. My name is Amira, and today we are doing my long-awaited, long-anticipated, much talked about and hinted at concealer ranking. Let's get into it. All right, guys. So this has been long in the making. This is like, I started the idea behind this probably in like March, February, something like that. But I kept like, new concealers kept coming out. And I was like, I'll try that one. I'll try that one. I'll try that one. This all started from me deciding to see other people when it came to my Holy Grail concealer, which is the Kosas Revealer concealer. That has been my jam since, it came out. I have gone through like 2 or 3 tubes of it. I now have a mini because I didn't want to get a full size because I was like, okay, I'm going to let it back into my life and into my heart, but I don't want to like rely on that because I had all these other concealers to try. So I got a mini. I tried it for the first time again after a very long time apart, and I was like, it's like coming home. But that's neither here nor there. I wanted to see if I could find a concealer that could steal my heart the way that the Kosas Revealer concealer had and has. And it's been a long journey. It's I've tried a lot of concealers, and I will say I don't hate any of these concealers, but there is a definite ranking. Yes, there is a definite ranking, but I feel like all of these concealers have their attributes, and I'm not saying that to be like, oh no, I love them all. No, generally, having lived with all of these and tried them all multiple times with various foundations, various application methods, there are things I like about all of them, and there are things that I dislike about a lot of them as well. So let's get into it. The bottom of the list, and again, I don't dislike this one as much as other people do. It is at the bottom of the list, but I will get into why. I don't think it's a bad concealer, but we'll expand upon, we'll extrapolate a bit. So this is the Huda Beauty, and I think this is called the Hydra Beam Brightening Concealer, and I have the shade HB5. So my issue with this one is the coverage. I think the finish is beautiful. I don't even hate that it's light coverage. What I find is I have concealers that have lighter coverage, just as light of a coverage, but the finish of it is more seamless and more natural. Does that make sense? So this, I feel like, doesn't give you a ton of coverage, but I also don't feel like it is as seamless of a natural concealer as other concealers that are in this list. I don't think it's a bad concealer. I've used it. I will continue to use it. Don't have any plans to declutter it. I just feel like it's almost there, but it's not there. It's like it's also kind of, what I find interesting about it is the texture of it is actually quite thick. And I don't even know if I want to say thick. It's got body to it. It's almost moussey in texture. And for something that's so light, I feel like I can feel this. For something so light, I can feel this. Like, it feels like I've got something on my skin, which I find interesting considering how low coverage it is. So I feel like they need to decide what they want to do with this. It feels very much like they're riding the fence, like they want it to have the characteristics in the body of a high coverage concealer, but they want it to have the finish of a low coverage concealer, and what winds up happening is you don't get enough of either. Does that make sense? It's just sort of like, you're not quite there yet, but I don't hate it. I feel like I can make it work, and I can use it and it looks fine, but it's just not quite there yet. Next on the list is another concealer that people seem to dislike. And of all of these, this is the one that is the most matte. This is the most traditional, like 2017 YouTube concealer. It's a matte, full coverage concealer. I bought it in the shade NY11. It's a good shade match. I think the shade range for this concealer is actually really good. I'm going to show you what it looks like. It's more on the yellow side, but it works for me. But as you can see, I mean, this is the Say, And this is the Natasha Denona. And do you see, and the name of this one, by the way, I believe is High Glam. This is the Natasha Denona High Glam. As you can see, this is full coverage. This is full coverage. But as you can see, the finish is beautiful. So this one, here's the thing. I think this one is coming out at a time where I don't know if this is the time for this concealer. I think if this had come out in 2017, people would be raving about it. All the people who hated, who wore matte full coverage concealers, including me, would have loved this concealer then. It's actually a really good concealer for that reason. But for me, in 2023, the way my skin is set up now, the way my preferences are set up, it's not one that I will reach for unless I'm really going for like makeup that is long lasting, high coverage. You know, I would recommend this for a wedding. I would recommend this for any event where you're going to have to be wearing makeup for a long time. You're going to have to be photographed. I think this is good for this. I also think this needs to be applied with a sponge. I think people have been applying these with brushes maybe, and I tried it with a brush and hated it, and then I tried it with a sponge and loved it. So I think what you apply this with has a huge impact on how it's going to look. I will say I did find that by the end of the day, this did look heavy under my eyes, but I feel that way about most full coverage matte concealers nowadays. Like, I'm older than I was in 2017. My under eyes aren't set up the way they used to be. I don't have a lot of like wrinkles or anything like that, thank the Lord, knock on wood, but I'm still older than I was then. And so for me, my preferences have changed, and I think what looks good on my skin has changed. I could have gotten away with this, no problem. What I do with this, if I'm going to wear it, is I do not set my under eye. This is a matte concealer that sets. It sets on its own. You don't have to powder it. I think if you're going to use this and you're going to powder under your eyes, you're going to get that heavy, dry look. I tried it with powder once, hated the way it looked at the end of the day. Tried it without powder the next time I wore it, and it was perfectly fine. It's just more full coverage than what I tend to reach for nowadays, but I don't think, for the type of formula that it is, I don't think it's a bad formula. Another concealer that can kind of fall in that, almost in that full coverage category, but I would say it's medium to high coverage, medium high coverage. And that is the Valentino, Very Valentino concealer. And I have the shade, what shade do I have? MN5. This one is a cipher. It really is. I don't know. I have it ranked as third because at the bottom, because it's a concealer that I don't dislike at all. Like, I don't dislike it, but there's nothing that I'm like blown away by. Like, when I put it on, I go, oh, my under eyes look nice, but I'm not like, oh my gosh, my under eyes look amazing. Oh my gosh, wow, this is amazing. I can't believe it. Whoa. I don't feel that way about this. I just feel like it's a solid concealer. It's a solid middle of the road concealer. It's good. It's not amazing. I think if for the price, it's a luxury concealer. For the price, there is another luxury concealer on this list and in this ranking that I will be showing in this video that I think is worth purchasing before you go for this one, okay? Will I get use out of this? Absolutely. I've gotten use out of all of these. I've been rotating all of these for months, weeks, you know? So I can definitely get use out of this, and I will continue to use it, but I just don't think it's that amazing. I think it's good. Next up is another, I would say, this one surprised me. Okay, this one surprised me because I wasn't gonna get it. I was very intrigued by it. I wasn't gonna get it, and then I decided to get it, and then it was on sale, so I was like, I'm gonna get it. And then I wore it, and then I couldn't stop picking it up. I was like, what's going on? Why do I keep picking this up? Because I was like, not sure how I felt about it, but I kept reaching for it. Like I would do my makeup and I'd go, oh yeah. And it wasn't because I felt compelled to keep trying it. It was almost just like my brain was like, yes, we want to use that. And I didn't understand why. But now that I've taken some time away from it, because I haven't used this in a bit because I've gotten all these other concealers, I realized that the reason why I like this one is because it's a really good all over concealer. If you are looking for a concealer that you can do that thing, this is what I used to do with my Kosas, is that I loved using that on days, super hot summer days, when I didn't want to wear a full face of foundation. I wanted some coverage, strategically placed and blended out, but I did not want to feel like I was wearing a full face of makeup. Now, having said that, this concealer is far more pigmented, far more full coverage than the Kosas is. So you can do a full face with this and it'll almost look like foundation. So I use less of this than I would of my Kosas. And now that I've like, you know, talked this concealer up, we're going to show what it is. It is the Urban Decay Stay Naked Quickie concealer. It's multi-use and I have it in the shade 60 NN. This was a sleeper hit for me. I first time I used it, I was like, I don't think so. And then the second time I used it, I was like, I really like this. What I find with this though, because like I said, with like the Natasha Denona, this is full coverage. And the first time I used it, I just felt it was too heavy. And I was like, I don't like this. I don't like it. What I find with this one, guys, is that I don't actually like this under my under eyes. I like this as an all-over concealer. I like this as a concealer when I want to just put something on my face that isn't foundation. And then I'll oftentimes go in with another concealer with this under my eyes. This little brush comes in handy. It blends really well. I really like this. But again, it's a product that I don't use as my main under eye concealer. I use it as a face product. So make of that what you will. I think it's a great, if you're looking for something like that though, if you're looking for something that you can use that's like a foundation but not a foundation, and that can give you, you know, that sort of like, you can perfect areas strategically and then put the rest of your makeup on, this is great for that. This is great for that. And that's what I've been using this as, which is why this is ranked where it is, because I got a lot of use out of this, and I think I'm gonna bust it out and start using it again, because I've been wearing foundation, but it's getting to a point with the weather, with the heat, that I'm kind of over foundation. So I think I'm gonna start maybe using this. This one I had a hard time with. So I have 3 more to go, and I keep flipping these concealers. I've been doing it while I've been sitting here, flipping these last 2 concealers, these next 2 concealers rather, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because I love them both. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and say that this one is ranked at number 3. It might be number 2. I don't know. I'm having a hard time with this. So next up is the Huda Beauty Glowish Bright Light Sheer Concealer in the shade Medium. Now, this is sheer. This is the light coverage that Say is going for, but without as elegant of a finish. This is very light coverage. I am wearing this today though, and I am actually very happy with how my under eyes look. Like, I'm very happy with it. The first time I used this, when I first swatched it, I was like, ooh, I don't know. And then I actually put it on my face and blended it on, and I was like, oh, it's actually really pretty. Wow. It's such a pretty concealer. It is sheer. If you are looking for high coverage, if you're looking for medium coverage, this will not provide that. This is for when you are going for that natural look. You want a little bit of something to even you out and to maybe brighten a bit. This is what that will do. This will not give you full coverage. This will not spot conceal. This will not, you know, you're not going to get full glam type of finish with this. If that's what you're going for, try that one. But this will not give you that, okay? But it will give you a beautiful, natural, soft, sheer, your skin but slightly better vibe. And when in the summertime and like days like today, I'm wearing a very low coverage foundation. I didn't want to wear a really high coverage concealer. This was perfect, and I'm happy with how my skin looks. Like, my skin, you can still see some of my, you know, acne scars peeking through, but my skin doesn't look overly made up, and it looks evened out, and that's what this does. It's a beautiful concealer, and this one has like grown in my heart. This is the concealer that I brought with me when I went on my birthday staycation. This is the only one I brought with me. Next up is a concealer that is from a brand that I have tried to love, but they keep, and there are things from them that I do love, but their complexion products, when it comes to their shade ranges and their undertones, have always been incredibly disappointing. And that is Flower Beauty. Now, I had the OG concealer that they had, and the first time I purchased it years ago, I actually liked it. It's just the tone was off. I repurchased it, and I recently, like within this past year, and I absolutely hated it. I was trying to see if I could like see how I felt about it, if I still felt that way about it. I don't. I think my preferences have changed so much. It doesn't sit on my under eyes the way I would like. I hated that concealer. But they had come out with this one, and I heard so many people raving about it. But this particular shade was sold out for like weeks. So I wasn't able to get my hands on it. So when I finally did, I had high expectations, and this is the shade Medium Honey, and this is the Get Real Serum Concealer. This is a banger, guys. It's a banger. I was so impressed by this, and keep this for me. These two are very similar. This one just has a little bit more coverage. If you're looking for a little bit more coverage, just a little bit more coverage, this is the one you're gonna want. But these, for me, because they both have that like serum-y texture, they both give such beautiful, soft, seamless, natural finish. This one just has a hint more coverage in it, just a hint. It's not high coverage. It's like low to medium. You can get to medium with this. If you build it up, you can get to medium. But it's so skin-like, which is like this one, but just more coverage. And that's why I kept going back and forth. They even almost look similar in the tubes. And I'm just like, I don't know which one. I didn't know because I like them both, and I like them very similarly. The only thing that ekes this one out is that I just feel like this one has a tad more coverage. So on those days where I still want this vibe, but I just want a little more coverage, that's why this one is ranked at number 2 in this ranking, because of that reason. But I feel like you can't lose with either one of these. This one is a drugstore concealer. So if you are not willing to spend the Huda Beauty Glowish price tag, if you want to save money, go with the Flower Beauty, absolutely. But I don't think if you are interested in this, you're going to be disappointed. I think these both are very worth the money, drugstore or higher end. And last but not least is the concealer that Khaki raved and raved and raved about, and she got everybody on the internet, everybody on the YouTube. She influenced the influencers. Everybody's like, well, I guess I gotta try this concealer because Khaki keeps talking about it, and I kept seeing her talk about it, and I was just like, okay, I'm trying concealers here. Let's do this. First time I tried it, I was like, it's okay. I don't see what the big deal is about. Like, okay, Khaki. Then I tried it a second time, and I was like, oh, this is actually really pretty. Then I tried it a third time, and I was like, I can't really love the way my under eyes look. And what was getting me was that how my under eyes were looking at the end of the day, and how my under eyes were looking powdered or unpowdered. They were looking good no matter what, and they were looking really like hydrated and like plumped, and just like my under eyes were looking healthy. They were looking nice, you know. And I was like, oh, okay. And then what I found is, even though I was trying all these concealers, and I was making a point of reaching for other concealers, but on those days where I just needed to do my makeup and I wanted to look good, I would just reach for the Givenchy Prism Libre. Khaki was right. Girlfriend was right. She was right. And I have the shade in 335, and the name of this is the Prism Libre Skin Caring Concealer. This has become my go-to. This has warmed its way into my heart, and it's like almost as close to my heart as my Kosas. And I said that was the point of this journey. I said I wanted to know if I could love a concealer as much as I love my Kosas. This one might be the one, guys. This might be the one that is threatening Kosas's place in my heart. It's this one. It's so nice. It's like skincare and a concealer. I mean, it is called skin caring. It cares about your under eyes, and it shows in the finish. It's not matte. It's not overly dewy. It's like satin and hydrating. I never feel like my under eyes look dry and craggly. Like, when I put this on, my under eyes look almost moist, but not in a bad way, not in like a oh way, like I just applied eye cream kind of way, but it's makeup. And then when I powder, if I decide to powder, it looks beautiful. I will say I have to be careful with powder because this is kind of got a bit more hydration to it. If you put too much powder, it can get a little like cracky here because it's just the powder mixing with the wetness of the foundation of the concealer. So I would say, if you do a light hand and maybe let the concealer set on its own for a little bit before you apply your powder. But I'd use this without powder, and I use it with powder, and I love it both ways, and it looks great both ways, and it lasts both ways. Like, it doesn't matter. I can powder it or not powder it. I absolutely love this concealer. I was blown away. This concealer is what made me decide that I was fine with spending the money and buying the powder. And then I bought I just ordered the foundation, because that's how much I love this. I'm like, if I love this and I love this powder as much as I love these, I need to try the foundation. Like, I need to know. Like, for science, I need more data for this. And I'm shocked that I'm enjoying these Givenchy products as much as I am. I was just not, I just was like, okay. I don't know. Givenchy has never been like, I've never been checking for them as far as makeup goes. Honestly, I don't find their like their eyeshadow palettes look very basic and pedestrian to me. I've never been interested in them. The only things that have ever interested me have been the complexion products. And so I guess it makes sense that I would, be interested in trying the concealer, or like the foundation. But yeah, this is sort of like, this was my gateway drug to trying the powder, and now I've ordered the foundation, and I'm just like, I'm in love, guys. This is number one. Like, it was no contest. Like, honestly, I struggled trying to figure out how to rank all of the other concealers, but I knew that this was going to be number one. Like, that was like, duh, check, everything else was up in the air, but this one was number one. This was bae from the jump. This one has my heart. This one I see more often than the others. This one is not just a weekend girl. She is all the time girl. So guys, that is my concealer ranking. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of tired of trying concealers. I don't think I'm gonna be buying any more for a while. Of course, I say that, and then one will come out and I'll be like, okay, I'm buying that one. If House Labs comes out with a concealer anytime soon, I'll be buying that one, because that foundation is one of my favorite foundations. If they come out with a concealer, I will buy that concealer. But for everyone else, I'm just kind of like, I'm good, guys. I'm good. I've got a lot of product to work through here. A lot of product. And I will say this. This was a lot, but it was also a lot of fun. And it's really solidified for me what my preferences are when it comes to concealers. But also, it's shown me that, on the flip side of that, it's shown me that there are concealers that are not my jam normally, that I wouldn't have thought were my jam. Products like these, as far as coverage goes, because for me, a sheer concealer, I'm like, eh. Trying these made me understand that if the formula is done right, I love a sheer concealer. That's what this shows me. This one for me just kind of, it's just like, it just came out. It came out like a wrecking ball, and, hats off to Khaki for, sounding the alarm on this one. Thank you very much. But yeah, this one for me is the one. And then also discovering like this one has a strong place in my collection as far as how I like to do my makeup at certain times of the year. And then these three, again, I feel like I can get use out of these. Like, this one I can use for days like getting pictures taken. And this one I feel like I want to use more of and see if I can get use out of it, because this one is probably the one that I've reached for the least, because of the reasons that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, when I first talked about it. And then this one reminds me a lot of concealers that I already own that I feel like are middle of the road. They're not bad. Like, this isn't a bad concealer. So if you have this, or you're thinking of buying this and you really want to try it, do your thing, ma'am. Do your thing. But for me, this is a solid like B grade concealer. It's not amazing. It's not terrible. It's just a good, solid concealer, which isn't a bad thing. But for me, these three are amazing concealers, and this one is amazing, So I'd rather, amazing is different than like, that's good. That's good. It's all right. All right, guys. So let me know in the comments down below. What did you think of this video? Do you own any of these concealers? Are any of these concealers on your wish list? Have I talked you out of something? Have I talked you into something? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you are interested in any of these concealers, they will all be in the description box with links. They will be affiliate links, so if you click on them, I will get a small commission if you purchase any of the items. And if you do so, thank you so much, but don't feel pressured to do so. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye now.